Now, I want to go back to this business of the government shutdown and build on a little bit what I was talking about with our previous caller right at the end of the first hour. And it is this. He said that the continuing resolution proposal needs to be brought back and a new one sent over to the Democrats that forces their hand. Now, forget for just a second all of the distractions and all the external things that are being said and done for public consumption. Let's talk about the sausage making for just a second, the actual business of having a piece of legislation that is successfully passed and voted on. In this case, you have a lot of things going on. There's a showdown over Obamacare. Now, the Republicans have sent a continuing resolution over, which delays the individual mandate for a year, eliminates the tax on medical devices, which includes a lot of sexual devices, and it exempts the military from some of the onerous regulations for a while. The Democrats are saying, hey, no way, pal, no way. And Dingy Harry in the Senate not even showing up to 2 o'clock today, and they're saying there's nothing. And you guys, they're positioning it as the Republicans are trying to deny people affordable health care. This is in the AP story today. And again, this is worth repeating because this is how literally outrageous this has become. Chris Van Hollen, who is in the Democrat leadership in the Senate, is saying that the Republican effort to delay the individual mandate, and again, I want to be clear. I go through this. I don't really know how many people even know what I'm talking about. The individual mandate is a fundamental requirement in Obamacare. It mandates, it requires that you have health insurance or you pay a fine. Now, you can argue all day long over whether it's constitutional. The Supreme Court said that it is, but in a purist sense, it isn't because the federal government cannot require you to buy something. The Commerce Clause expressly prohibits this. But that's another issue. It still infuriates me. They got around it by calling it a tax, if you'll remember. But bottom line is, the individual mandate is an onerous thing. It is a sign of an oppressive, statist, pure socialist government. To have the government mandating, requiring citizens to buy anything, in this case, health insurance. The Republicans are trying to stand up for that. They're trying to stand up for the idea that it's unconstitutional, it's not right, it's not the role of government, it's got to stop. They want to delay it for a year. Some people think they should have gone for the full defund. They didn't have the guts, the votes, whatever to do that, so they've done this. Delay the mandate for a year because the employer mandate was delayed for a year by Obama. The employer mandate requiring employers to provide insurance has now been waived until 2015. Again, the reason for that is that the real objective of Obamacare is to destroy the whole private sector insurance market. If the employer doesn't have to provide insurance, that is obviously a reduction in guaranteed customers for the insurance companies. And if you as an employee cannot depend on your employer providing it, then what? Well, here's the personal mandate, the individual mandate. You've got to have it. So now it's on you to go get it. And you've either got to sign up at an exchange starting tomorrow, or you've got to find private sector policy, or you pay the fine. And most people are going to pay the fine because it's cheaper first couple of years by design. Obama is happy as hell people not buying insurance for a couple of years. That destroys the private sector market, and eventually the only place you're going to be able to get insurance will be at a government exchange. Now, until that time comes, the Republicans are trying to delay this individual mandate to go along with the employer mandate to scoop the guts of Obamacare. If you eliminate the requirement to have it, you have scooped quite a bit out of Obamacare. Democrats aren't going to go for that. There's no way that this continuing resolution is going to get one Democrat vote. And it doesn't have a prayer without any Democrat votes. Just talking strictly about sausage making, it doesn't have a prayer without any Democrat votes. Nothing does because of the current lay of the land. So the Democrats, working with the Associated Press and others in the media, are now characterizing the individual mandate as compassion. And they're saying that the Republicans trying to delay it for a year means that the Republicans don't want you to have health insurance. And so they're out there in conjunction with the AP saying that the Republicans are willing to shut down the government to make sure that you do not get insurance. That's the degree to which this has been bastardized. It couldn't be further from the truth. The Republicans are not trying to deny anybody health insurance. The Republicans are trying to save the American medical system from being destroyed because it's taken over by a government and run by people who haven't the foggiest idea what they're doing and don't care. To them, it's simply the latest measure for total control of the people. But to the low information crowd who read the AP, wherever the story gets posted, Republicans want to eliminate your ability to get health insurance, and they're willing to shut the government down. So that's not going to get any Democrat votes. So there might be a shutdown, and which is the Democrat Party's opening move in the 2014 campaign, in this case, for the House. That's their objective. So what could get Democrat votes? I mean, because the caller's idea was we're going to have to turn the tables on this at some point, and the Democrats are going to have to be put on the defensive. And there might be a way. Remember, because of the lay of the land, nothing the Republicans propose that doesn't peel off some Democrat votes in the Senate has a chance of actually happening. So if we go the shutdown route, then that's going to be determined, who wins that by who blinks first. And you know how that's going to go. The media is just, they got an endless parade of suffering people because the government should. It's all going to be lies, and it's all going to be exaggerated. It's all going to be made up. But it's been done before. We've been here and done that. It's all deja vu. So what might work otherwise? Well, there's something out there that's happened that I really believe if a majority of the American people knew about it, they would be fit to be tied and would not tolerate it. And that is the fact that members of Congress and their staff are getting their health care subsidized. 75% of the cost of health care insurance for members of Congress and their staff will be paid for by taxpayers. Now, that could be, if you could write a CR that deals with some of this, send that over to the Senate, repealing that. In other words, make the Democrats vote to defend their getting a subsidy, particularly the Democrats that are up in the Senate in 2014. You send something over there that makes them vote for that. And theoretically, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, that might, and I could be whistling Dixie here too. I may not have the slightest idea what I'm talking about, but that might be embarrassing enough that you could peel some Democrat votes off. That some Democrats might not want it publicly known that they are voting for you to pay for 75% of their health care. Because that right now is the law of the land. They bitched and they moaned about the price. These are people making upwards of $100,000 to $174,000 a year. They complained about the cost to them of Obamacare, and they wrote it in many cases, the staff. And they certainly defended it. But then they did said they couldn't afford. And Obama, trying to head off a problem at the pass, went over there and promised them they would be subsidized. Not through the exchanges, but through the Office of Personnel Management. Still taxpayer dollars, but they're not going to be subsidized through the exchanges like those who will be subsidized will have it taken care of. They're not going to have to mess with exchanges. They're going to be taken up with another government agency. Okay, that's law of the land now. They're going to be subsidized. Send something over that cancels that. Put in your bill, the Republicans, put in your defund or your delay bill. And also, we want to remove this subsidy for members of Congress. The original bill said that members of Congress have to go through everything just like everybody else does, and now they don't. So put it in your bill that they have to live with it just like everybody else does, and pull out this subsidy they've got, and then put them on the defensive of having to vote to defend something you can't get. Now, that might turn the tables, and it might get some Democrat votes. But in the real world, for whatever the Republicans are proposing, for it to eventually work, they're going to have to get some Democrat votes out of it.